Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on the WISER special for the month of July. I'm so excited that we're doing this on the first day of the second half of the year. Can you beat that? It is absolutely amazing. I am super glad. I'm super glad that we're getting to do this. Fantastic morning. We're going to be taking a look at what we have learned so far from the book we're reviewing for the year, which is The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Steven Covey. Where are you reaching in from? Where in the world are you? Drop it in the comment section and ensure that what accompanies that comment is your favorite emoji. For me, if I would drop anything, it would be the dance emoji because I love to dance. Burn some calories, enjoy the music, and have fun. It's a beautiful morning. So drop where you go. Oh wow, Doris has dropped hers. Doris all the way from Abuja. Doris, it's so good to see you here. I'm so pumped up. I'm so excited. I'm going to need some calming effect to just keep me calm at the particular moment. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Where are you joining us from? Adeoye Toluwanimi. Fortunate you have so many beautiful names. You are joining us from Anambra State. The merchandise of this world. How you doing? The mechanic is saying Wiserians. That's it. Wiserians, Nigerians, Ethiopians, Ghanaians, global citizens. Thank you so much for joining us on this special um Wiser July edition. Thank you so much. The mechanic said he's joining from Benin in Nigeria. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so excited to have us here. Let's see if there is nobody like your friend, your colleague, somebody you connected with during the Wiser sessions. You're not seeing the person right now, the person's not opening the comments. Just reach out to the person on WhatsApp and say, hey, what are you doing? It's time. Let's go over to learn more so we can do better. MC Love Diamond, hi. She's saying good morning, Wiser, and she's joining us from Port Harcourt. Yes. I'm so excited to do this. Not just me, but the people that will be doing this with me today, my awesome sisters. It's been an amazing time since February. I think that's when the first session began. We looked at the prologue, looked at habit 1, 2, 3, 4, and now it is habit 5. I'm so excited that we'll be talking about something very important, which every one of us do every day. More people are joining. More Loramide. Good morning, joining from the United States of Lagos, like last giddy. Olutomi is joining from Abuja. She's saying, good morning, Wiser Nation. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I keep saying good morning because I'm in Lagos, Nigeria, where we are broadcasting live from. So if wherever you are at is midnight, if wherever you are at is afternoon or evening, because of the time differences, good day to you. Good morning when it becomes your morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have an amazing time here today. As we're going to be taking a look at what we have in store. And there's something I want to really talk to all of us to do. Let's try to give back. Joyce Daniels brought us here together for something totally good. The best way we can give back right now is doing something absolutely free, hitting the like button. Hitting the like button is the best way you can do it. Okay, we have an ample amount of people right here, or ample number of people right here on the platform. Just go ahead and like it. That way, YouTube is going to recommend it to so many people. Okay, and the link is available, as you can see right there on your screen. Just click on the share button. Take the link, drop it on your WhatsApp status, drop it on the groups that you belong to, because you do not want to learn this alone. Trust me, you alone don't want to learn this, because if everybody understands what you understand right now from this session, the world definitely will be a better place. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can see Chalia Gambu is joining us all the way from Benin, Nigeria. Thank you so much. Boluma Olushayero. I hope I got that right. You're joining us all the way from Abuja, Nigeria. That's the FCT. We want to be kickstarting, but we want more people to join us. And when you join in, please just let us know by dropping your comment. And I'm not seeing your favorite emojis though. I'm not seeing your favorite emojis. That emoji that really tells the way you see life, the way you are this morning. Grateful to wake up on this wonderful Monday, first working day of the week, first day in the second half of the year. Trust me, from today, the second half of the year is already done. All right, I'm not going to be doing this alone. Oh, Boluma, yeah, I got you. You said you're reaching us from Abuja, Nigeria. I'm not going to be doing this alone. I have amazing, wonderful, beautiful sisters who will be joining me today on this particular chat. As you saw on the flyer, I have Odunayo will be joining me on this particular, session. Odun, good morning. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and I can't wait for everybody to hear you as well. Say hello to everybody.
Good morning, Wiserians. Good morning. I'm so excited to be part of this. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's Odun. So you'll be hearing from Odun in a minute. You want to sit and hear from her because she has a whole lot to say, especially if you have teenagers around you, which we all do, anyways. Glory is with us. Glory, glory, glory of the Lord. Glory Oluwadunni, who can also will be giving us her perspective on some of the things that she has, read, some of the lessons that she has been able to garner from the book that we are taking a good review on today. Hi, Glory. Want to hear your voice and see your face. Hello. You're muted. You're muted. Don't stop us from hearing your voice.
I'm sorry. Hello, Isarians. Good morning. I'm so elated to be here along my sisters. Can't wait to share my opinions and my review with you.
Absolutely. So we have a lot at stake right here today. So quickly, let's just go into the nitty gritty today. All right. I wonder if you have ever, at any point in time, you had, probably something you call the flu or something in Nigeria, some part of Africa, what we call malaria. You have the symptoms of it, and then you self-diagnose, right? You go to the pharmacy to get an over-the-counter drug, an over-the-counter medication. Oh, I've got a bit of cold. I feel a bit weak. I'm shaking. I get headaches sometimes when the sun is very hot towards evening. And then you just go and you think, oh, okay, I think I've got, malaria. So let me just go to the pharmacy and get drugs. And you get these drugs, you take it. The first month it doesn't work, and you say, what's going on? Maybe it's not strong enough. You go take another one. It's not strong enough. You go take another one. And then somebody tells you, why don't you go to the hospital to check? What is wrong with you? Must you always take this drug? Medication always the answer to the problem? And then you go to the hospital and the doctor looks at you, asks you some questions, and the doctor listens to you talk. He writes down some things, takes tests, and comes back and tells you, actually, you're stressed. All you just need to do for 2 weeks, just go home, eat, drink a lot of water, and relax. And probably gives you some prescription to manage the symptom of the malaria. And then you go and you tell your partner at home or your children or anybody or your colleague, the doctor said it was just stress, and I've been drinking drugs all the while. That is something that has happened to so many of us who take self-diagnosis, really more important than going to the person who actually will give us the proper diagnosis and prescribe the right treatment for us. That forms the background of the community of the topic that we're going to deal with today. And Stephen Covey titles it, that is habit 5, seek first to understand and then to be understood. The summation of the story I just mentioned earlier on, not just necessarily a story, but something that happens to so many of us, brings me to this question. How often do we diagnose before we prescribe in communication? How often do we diagnose before we prescribe? How often have you been able to go to the hospital to check up what actually is the problem, to get a proper diagnosis before they prescribe the proper treatment and medication for you? That is a good question that will be a food for thought for us as we go into the second half of the year. So there are several things that jumped into my head while I was reading this thing, because trust me, I am one of those people. Because I'm also in the communication industry. So I'm one of those people who most times end up prescribing before I diagnose, when having a conversation with people, be it on air because of the job that I do, be it interviewing people while I want to tell their stories and the rest of them. By the way, my name is Mercy Frank. All right. So Stephen Covey begins with something very important in this thing, in this particular chapter. He begins with what he calls character and communication. And what he really wants us to understand here is that for good communication to occur, there is the need for it to be based on a foundation of good character. Meaning, if you're a parent or you're a colleague who other people find it very difficult to communicate with, your colleague comes to you, oh, Mercy, what do you think about it? I'm tired. I'm actually tired. Don't you see I'm stressed? I have so much work to do. The person comes day one, the person comes day five, the person comes day six. If the person has an issue that you have the capacity to hopefully help the person diagnose and prescribe a solution to, the person, because of the years of the character you've built with the person will not be able to walk up to you and speak to you. That way, you'll not be able to understand where the person is coming from and where the person is supposed to be headed. So, Stephen Covey makes it very sure in this book that we all have to build strong character to be able to have proper communication. And he said something very pivotal right here, and I'm going to read it out quickly. He said, reading and writing are both forms of communication, so are speaking and listening. In fact, those are four basic types of communication. And think of all the hours you spend doing at least one of those four things. He said the ability to do all of them well is absolutely critical to effectiveness. You go to school to learn to read, you go to school to learn to write, you go to school to learn to read, to speak, to communicate, yeah? But how many of us, even after school, have made effort to ensure that we pick up knowledge on listening skills? Well, if you're here, I think you're on the right track. You have started it, and we need to continue with it. If you know anybody who probably you've tried to communicate with and doesn't listen, you need to recommend that the person pick listening skills and ensure that you tell the person in such a nice manner so the person doesn't think you're looking at him or her in the wrong way. So, one other highlight I want to really talk about here is what he calls empathic listening. He mentioned at a particular point in time that there are different levels of listening. He said there's a particular side of listening where we ignore people. The person is talking to you and you're like this. Also, he's talked about pretending listening. Mommy, I want this. And you're not listening. Selective listening, where you only hear what you want to hear. And he said, out of all these listenings, the greatest of them all is empathic listening. And let's make it very clear that empathic listening, it is derived from the word empathy. And what it means is to put yourself in the shoes of the other person so you can actually understand where the person is coming from. If you understand where the person is coming from, you will be able to diagnose properly and be able to prescribe also properly for the person. Empathy and sympathy are not the same thing, because most times people get to mistake both of them. Now, sympathy is a form of judgment. Judgment in the sense that you look at the person, that the person is way worse off than you are. And that's when you go, oh, look at you. I'm just pitying for her. You just pity for the person. No, that is not. We're not talking about sympathetic listening. We're talking about what? Empathetic listening. So it's very important that we put that into consideration. Seek to understand the person, listen to the person, and totally understand where they are actually coming from. Okay. Another thing that jumped out of for me in the book is something very, very important. Okay. And he said something here. He said empathic listening is also risky. he said it takes a deal of security, a great deal of security, to go into deep listening experience because you open up yourself to be influenced and you become vulnerable. And this is why it's very important that we read the other chapters of the book that we haven't read. If you're just listening to this, I haven't read the other chapters. He makes mention that habits 1, 2, and 3, which is where private victory comes up, is very important that you arm yourself with. Because when somebody comes to you, for instance, in quote, what you see on the internet, men has come, men has come, men has come. Somebody has married probably 3 times and it didn't work out. Or probably somebody has dated 3 times and it didn't work out. And you listen to the person, and you are single, you listen to the person over and over and over again. If you don't have, if you've not practiced private victory, you have not understood yourself properly and put your values and let them align properly, there is a tendency that you will believe everything the person is saying and you will go along with the person rather than for you to ensure that you understand the person so you can tell the person something absolutely better. There's so much more we can unearth from this book. But I'll hand over to my sisters to continue from where I have stopped, and then we'll take it up from there. So at this point in time, I would like to bring up Odunayo to continue from there. Odun.
All right. Thank you very, very much for telling us the core of the principle that habit 5 speaks to, and that is empathic listening. However, I'm going to continue from where you stopped, but I am going to start with a quick poll. And I will be looking at the chats box to see how many of us will actively participate in the chat. So let's do a quick poll. How often do you find yourself relating conversations to your own experiences? So if it's very often, type 1. If it is sometimes, type 2. If it is rarely, type 3. So let me take it again. How often do you find yourself relating conversations to your own experiences? Often, type 1. Sometimes, type 2. Rarely, type 3. Wow. I'm saying 1. Who does says 1? 1. Okay. MC Diamond says 2. Yeah, so what that tells us is at some point we have had to um, listen autobiographically. And autobiographically is the opposite of empathic listening. Um, Empathic listening, just like Messi has told us, is not necessarily accepting what the person is saying, but you are just seeing it from the person's perspective. That is what empathic listening is. However, the opposite, which most of us do, is listening autobiographically. And that is through your own experience, through your own biases. And this is how you do it. You interrupt, you give unsolicited advice, you judge, you criticize. And what happens when you do that is you are not um, giving room for the emotional bank account to grow. Because once the person cannot trust you, the person will just shut down on you and withdraw whatever it is that has been deposited in. So today we are going to quickly look at the 4 ways in which we listen autobiographically. The first one, and I'm going to give us scenarios. The first one is listening from your own frame of reference. So I'm going to talk from the angle of a certified teens coach. So your teenager comes up to you to say, Mom, I want to have my own Instagram account like all my friends. A typical parent would say, when I was your age, there was nothing like that. Social media, hey, I dare not even mention it to my parents. Whereas this child is actually telling you, I am struggling with FOMO. FOMO is actually the fear of missing out. Even a lot of adults still have that fear, the fear of missing out. But instead of you listening to your child, you're already cutting the child short, and you're not even listening at all. Another one that we do so often is listening to advice. You want to advise your child, the advisory gangs. You want to advise, you are quick to advise. The third one is listening to interpret. Everything you have to interpret it your own way. And the fourth one is listening to probe. That's the fourth one. Steven Covey mentioned the four: listening to advice, listening to evaluate, listening to probe, and listening to interpret. And I'm going to give you another scenario right now. And I want us to use the chat box to do this. So your teenager walks up to you and says, "Mom, I like this person. I want to start dating." Please, what will be your response? Let me see whether we are going to listen autobiographically or we are going to listen empathically from what we have learned. Your teenager just comes to you one day and says, "Mom, I like this person and I want to start dating this particular person." And this child that we are talking about just turned 13, July 1st, 2024. I am sure our first response is to listen autobiographically. Um, Either to tell the child, how old are you? When did you start this? Oh my God. I have another example that I want to share with us. So this is this teenager coming to his parents. And this child happens to be very, very smart with mathematics. And all of a sudden, the teenager dropped and started struggling with algebra and goes to meet the mom to say, "Mom, I'm struggling with typical mothers, typical fathers. Our default is to listen autobiographically. I told you, how will you know it? Every time you're always on your phone, pressing your phone, pressing your phone, pressing your phone. How will you get it? Can you imagine? The only thing he knows in this house, we will start. We would have picked one or the other." So back to my initial story. Somebody's Jadisola says, "Tell me why you want to date this person." Which of the autobiographical responses did she do? One of the four. Dory says, "Why dating?" She's already asking question. She's probing. And that is the reason why we struggle with teenagers and we keep saying they are not listening. They won't listen to us. But this is what empathic listening says. And I'm going to share from a personal experience. My son walked up to me to tell me this exact thing. "Oh, Mom, I have a girl in my school and I would like to start dating her." Oh my goodness. And I looked at him and I smiled. I'm like, wow. Odogu, Odogu. You know? And the truth is, what people want is just to feel valued. People want you to just listen. And that is what empathic listening is saying. Listen first. Empathic listening is not saying that you would not give your response. But before you give response, seek to understand the person first from the person's perspective. Empathic listening is not saying agree with what the person is saying. Empathic listening is saying just listen, understand the person's point of view, then later you can give your response. So back to my story. I said, "Wow, that's good. That's impressive." So in my son's school, what they do is they put them in classes based on how academically strong they are. So they have 4 classes for year 8. He is in the first class. The girl happens to be in the last class. I said, wow, that means this girl must really be beautiful. He said, yes. I said, oh, so that means you actually have eyes for good things. And the guy was just blushing here and then. Oh, okay. I said, no problem. I said, oh, okay, can we have this conversation some other time? So I left him to go and do some other thing. But when there's something on your mind that you want to talk about, the truth is you will want somebody to listen, and the thing will definitely still be on your mind. So the guy came to look for me and said, mommy, I told you something serious. And I'm like, oh, okay, so let's talk about it. Oh, so he said, oh, I like the girl and I want to actually go in a relationship with her. I said, fantastic. Okay, so um I have a question for you. And the question is, are your teachers aware? He said, no. Are you planning to tell your teachers about this? He said, no. I'm like, oh, okay. But do you know that anything that you do that is a secret is really not, or anything that you do that you cannot be proud of is not a good thing, right? He said, yes. I said, oh, okay. So what we are going to do right now is, I'm your mom, and tomorrow I'll be showing up in your school. I would want to have a meeting with your principal. Yeah, nothing serious. I would just introduce myself to him and tell him, oh, I'm your mom, and you have something to share with him. Since one of our family values is that um whatever we want to do, we should be proud of it. So he was like, oh, okay, mom. Ah, okay. So I said, when you tell the principal your intention, then we can pick it up from there. There and then, the guy told me he's not doing again. I said, why? Why are you not doing? I thought you just mentioned to me that you don't, you want to have a relationship. At the end of the day, when we were done with the conversation, he realized that it was not necessary to do at all. And he was able to convince himself that it was not worth it. And after then, I had to just do a follow up check with him to say how far. And he was totally off it. Did I respond to him? Yes. But I did it empathically because I processed the information from his own perspective before responding. And with my experience as a certified coach, I have learned that one of the main problems that teenagers have is identity crisis. They are struggling between who they are versus who the world says they should be, who their friends says they should be, who social media says they should be. And all of that is just, and let me just chip this in to tell you that the brain of a teenager, or yes, fully develops at age 24. And that is why they will keep making mistakes. They'll keep, remember when you were a teenager, and just remember the number of mistakes you had to make, decisions that you make that you're not proud of. So what we need to do to make them the best version of themselves is just to hold them by the hands and listen to them, and hold them by the hands and say, oh, you've got this, you've got this. The more you listen, the more they come to you for advice, the more the emotional bank account grows. Okay, so um Stephen Covey has said we should listen empathically. It is going to be from baby steps to giant step. The more we practice, the better we'll be with it. And that is just all Habit 4 is talking about. We can relate this to not only with teenagers, with everyone we come in contact with. So at this point, I would hand over the mic to our next presenter, and that is Oluwadunni. to continue from where I've stopped. Thank you for listening.
Hello, Isarians. I'm Gloria Oluwadunni, and I'm so elated to be here. First of all, I would like to thank Joyce Daniels and the Joyce Daniels organization for this opportunity. And I also want to apologize for the fact that my face is not clear. I don't know what's happening. Before today I practiced the all lightning stuff and it was fine, but I don't know this morning the devil is a liar. So I'll be taking the next principle of the habit five, and habit five says seek first to understand, then to be understood. And now most of us we have this habit of when you give an idea, you feel your idea should be taken. You get what I say is what I've said. I said what I said. What your opinion doesn't really matter. You came to me for advice. I've given you my advice, so take it like that. Don't um don't tell me any other thing. But the truth is, if you've really done empathic listening, like you've listened deeply, like you listen deeply to what the other person has to say, you get to realize that your perspective might be right, but the other person also has another perspective. Stephen Covey, in the first paragraph of Understanding and Perception, he said, as you learn to listen deeply to the other people, you would discover tremendous differences in perception. I have the way I see things, you have the way you see things. You see white, I see transparent. You see brown, I see carton brown. But when you get to listen properly, you get to realize that we are both right. Let's say in a marriage, for example, a newly wedded couple, the wife says, "Oh, babe, I'm scared to get pregnant." And the husband says, instead of him to try and understand for myself, "Oh, why did you not get married? If you know you didn't want to get pregnant, have you forgotten that the Bible says when two come together, they will multiply, they will be fruitful, they will be this." But when you learn to listen to her, when you deeply listen to her, you get to understand, you get to see the perspective where she's coming from, why she said so. Maybe, yes, she fancies the idea of marriage. She wants to be called Missy. She wants to have the ring, yeah, the ring and a right finger, the fourth finger. But then there might be this fear. Maybe she has watched the movie, she understands the pain of childbirth. Probably she had the history, maybe getting raped, having an abortion or something. But when you seriously to make as in let's say for example because of what has happened there are now issues along the way, you and your wife start having issues, you don't talk, you keep malice, you don't eat her food, she greets you, you don't and you get that thing kind of happen. But you get to this point where you realize that okay, rather than having this unnecessary issues, unnecessary banter, what then is the solution? What then? Habit five is the solution. Seek first to understand. In your workplace, you have a boss who feels it's my organization, what I say goes. But you have a boss that says what I say goes. Or you realize that you have an idea that when you drop this idea, the boss and everybody will love it. You would take it from your own, you would listen to him, he would listen to you, maybe you meet at a meet, you both meet at a particular place. You realize that at the end of the day, everybody's perception is different. The way we see things is different. It said something that for you to have this good relationship with people, for you to have this amazing relationship with people, you have to first seek to understand them. Seek to understand them. You don't just do things on your own accord. No, you don't just try to imagine that, oh, I know it all. You get seek to understand people first. See, and Stephen Covey said something that just give me a minute. He said something that knowing how to be understood is also one act of seeking to understand. when you seek to understand other people, it becomes easier for people to understand you. Yes, seeking to understand requires consideration because this time around you're coming out of you're putting yourself in the shoes of other people. You're coming out of your own shell and trying to see things the way other people see it. It takes so many consideration. It takes so many sacrifices for you to understand the other person. And now seeking to be understood is also courageous because you're letting your guard down. You're you're making sure that okay, people you're opening yourself. You're opening yourself up. You get your ideas, your thinking and everything. So seeking first to understand is a solution to a lot of banters that you have with maybe your co-workers, your spouse, even parents with children. Seeking first to understand. Now, in seeking first to understand, your character matters, your personal credibility. Because when you practice empathic listening, when you listen deeply and you begin to see other people's you begin to see things from the way other people see things, you begin to understand their perspective. You're not open to the place where someone can come and meet you and talk to you one on one. They can come meet you and they tell you everything without fear of okay, how would this person see me, how would this person judge me or anything. It also when you and practice when you seek to understand, it also opens your empathic side. Like you become so into that person, like you're that person, you're in that person's shoes, you're putting on the shoes of the person and you understand totally what this person is going through, the idea this person is trying to bring, what this person is trying to talk about. And it also had the logic part. You will not just do things from the part of it's just my idea. You'll be able to sit down and you reason, you will think about it like okay, rather than you thinking about it from the left side of your brain. Okay, this is it. The first thing that comes out of your mouth, the first thing that enters your brain, you just spit it out and feel, oh, that's the solution. No, this time around, you will sit down and break it into pieces because now you're coming from your own perspective and you're also coming from that person's perspective, coming from their, you begin to see things the way the person sees it. And when you practice this, when you practice empathic listening, when you listen deeply, it makes it so easy for you to have this very in, um, good circle of influence because everybody begins to know you as oh, Charles Daniels. If you go to her, she would listen, and she doesn't just listen to have responses to say no. She listens because she listens from your own point of view and she tells you things from her own point of view and the both of you meet in the middle. A good solution comes out of it. A good idea comes out of it. Okay, so this when you seek to understand and you get to be understood also, it gives you this opportunity to have one-on-one conversations with people without them having fear of coming to meet you. Like the spouse, the husband and the wife I used them I cited earlier. If the husband says, okay, babe, sit down, let's talk about it. Why do you say you don't want to have kids? Like this time around, they're not shouting, they're sitting facing each other, probably holding hands, and to say, okay, while growing up, I experienced childbirth, the pain of it. I don't think I want to go through this thing. Or I watched the movie, can't you see her this way? Told me, can't you see her shape? I want to maintain my shape too. And I heard that childbirth spoils the shape. And I don't fancy exercise. I don't want to go to exercises. From there, the man understands where she's coming from. But because he has this notion of, okay, me, I got married, I want to love you, I want to have children, he finds a way to talk to her from our own perspective and from his own ways of also doing things. So when you practice empathy, when you really listen deeply to people, you get to not just understand them, you get to see things the way they see things. You get to put yourself in their shoes. And you also get to be understood. Again, you don't just understand them alone, you get to be understood also. Because seeking to understand is one part, seeking to be understood is also the other part. Because the people who are listening to you, they begin to know you more. They begin to understand your kind of person. They don't see you as, oh, this person is a difficult person, no, this person is hard to talk to, or this person doesn't listen, or this person is this. They see you as somebody who has incredible personality. They can trust you. You get your integrity now begins to it goes high. And from there you begin to have this circle of influence where one person recommends you, oh, you have issues, go and talk to this person, she will listen to you. If from there people get to understand your kind of person too. If you're a soft person, they get to know you. If you're a hard person, they get to know you, your ways of life somehow becomes open to those people. They begin to understand you. So, and it also gives you this opportunity to have one-on-one conversations, even with your boss. If you're scared of your boss, take the bold step today. Go to your boss office and tell your boss, sir, I want to talk to you. You sit down, you tell him your idea, you listen to his own idea, he listens to you. The both of you get to that place of understanding, and everything works. So, lastly, the last thing I have here is, see, when you try to, now this habit five, when you practice habit five, which is seeking to understand, it lifts you to this greater, like it makes people see you as a god. Your integrity is boosted up. You get, even from your presentation, the way you present yourself, the way you talk, people see this I am mighty person. They don't just see you as an anyhow person. They now begin to love being around you. They now begin to love talking to you, listening to you, doing everything with you. So habit five is the answer to a lot of misunderstandings you have with your fellow workers, with your teacher, with your spouse, with your friend. Start from today, practice habit five. Seek first to understand. Seek first to understand. Then you would be understood. Thank you so much for listening to me. And with that, we've come to the end of the session. So now I'll hand it over to Messi to take us through the questions part. Thank you.
Glory, glory, glory. That was absolutely spot on. That was insightful. And the examples you gave really made me reflect on some of the ways I've responded to people, because I'm thinking they should know better. And then at some point, the communication turns sour because you are listening from your own perspective. You want to drive home your point, like, without having to understand the person first. So thank you so much for making us really understand this. Still stay with us. It's not time for you to go yet. And we're having the question session for 5 minutes. So whatever question you have as regards this habit five, seek first to understand and then be understood. You can just quickly, please drop it on the comment section, and then one of us, one of the three of the awesome ladies, not three musketeers, will do the best to really get to answer the question and give you our perspective on the book. Or if there's any part of the book that really jumped out at you, I mean, of this particular habit five that really jumped out at you, just go ahead and share it to the world, and then we get to read it over here. Um, there was something that really came to my mind, Glory, while you were speaking on this this part of seeking first to understand and then be understood. It's very important that we take into consideration that we need to have very pivotal skills that can make people understand us. There was something that he said, Stephen Covey, and I'm going to read it verbatim. He said, when you can present your own ideas clearly, specifically, visually, and most important, contextually, in the context of a deep understanding of their paradigms and concerns, you significantly increase the credibility of your ideas. And there were several times, even in my line of work, where I am supposed to pitch a story, and the editor looks at me and says, no. I go again. Two, three, four, five times. I get no. Somebody called me aside and said, Mercy, you have great ideas, but you need to learn how to ensure that the other person understands your ideas. Maybe you might want to drop a bit of more insight on how we can, this seek to be understood, you know, because that's where, listen to the person sort of problem, right? Glory. It's now
Mhm.
having to express yourself in such a way that the person will say, oh, so this is what you're talking about, right?
Okay, Stephen Covey said when you want you present your ideas clearly, like when you go to maybe you after you like you for example now you went to your editor, you dropped your story and you said no. Have you asked yourself what's that one thing that makes him keep saying no? Is the message clear enough? What I'm saying, is it clear enough? Does he understand where I'm coming from? And if you when you that part of understanding, there's a story he also said where a man says, okay, I have an idea, he's trying to drop it to his department, even if it doesn't work in line with the department. Then he talks to Stephen Covey, and Stephen Covey says, okay, why not try this? Why not try this? Why not try to see it from? Maybe you should go and meet your editor and ask, it, okay, so for at what point, from where do you want me to bring it in? Hear his own part too. You get you. I also want to ask you, Messi. After he said no the first time, no the second time, did you go back to him to ask him, sir? Why do you keep saying no? Because I think what I'm presenting to me is fine. So why are you saying no? Then maybe when you ask him, he would be able to tell you why he kept saying what he expects from you. Then you would go back, work on it. And I think when you come back the next time, he would buy into your idea because this time around, you understand, as in, he understands you. I know he understands you, but maybe you are not understanding him. So I think, have I answered the question, Messi?
Do I have 100 hands to really clap for you? Like, I really need to give you an applause right now. Thank you so much. And I want to believe every one of us in our different spheres of endeavor will be able to take lessons from these insights that have been shared here and apply it, because it's not just about listening. It's not just about listening here. It's also applying it, because Stephen Covey made Glory, if you remember, Stephen Covey made a statement and said it's not going to be easy. It's not something that is going to be easy to do, because empathic listening is way up over there. By the time we continue over and over again, we'll be able to actually get it done. We're expecting your questions. We're expecting your questions. Oh, yeah, some of the comments here, we have to say it quickly. Joyce Daniels said, is your message clear enough? I think that's for every one of us, even myself, to really get. He said, leave no room for assumptions. Ask for feedback. Really very important. I think this is a point where I also get to get Odun's perspective on some of the issues that we talked about, or that we saw in the book that we actually read here. Odunayo, a teens coach. I mean, as if you have anything teens issue, I mean, those people are full of they test your patience. They stretch you to the point where you go, no, God, I bet you created these people. There's nothing I can do about it. They're such a sweet set of human beings that need a whole lot of, a whole lot of molding are very important. Odunayo, I can remember Stephen Covey said in the book something about the need for psychological air, that it's second to, the need for physical, probably food, that food that you need. Second to it, psychological air. And it shows that people would always want someone to listen to them. In this age of Instagram, TikTok, where everybody wants to send a message. Help us expatiate on this, help ensuring that people get to have their psychological need, people have their need for psychological air satisfied.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy, for that question. But on a lighter note, my son came in the course of the conversation when I was backstage to say, Mommy, why are you sharing my story? So that's just on a lighter note anyway. Yeah, so before I answer to that question,
You have what
I
I
would want
replace
to
it.
talk about um I want to speak on what you mentioned earlier, the question you mentioned. I just want to shed a bit of more light on it. Um, you know that we are here to learn, we are here to grow, and we now know that listening empathically is the opposite of listening autobiographically. So it's possible that your boss was actually listening autobiographically. That's one. Number two, a number of people consciously or unconsciously experience adverse childhood experiences and they are still wounded. So they inflict, once you are um a wounded child, now grown into a wounded adult, you keep projecting your wound on everyone you come in contact with. So you need to heal that inner child. It is possible that that difficult person hasn't healed. You know, you need to move from being a wounded child or a wounded woman to an awakening man, an awakening woman. So that is that. Now, secondly, you mentioned the need for psychological survival. Psychological survival is the next to physical survival. It is as important as physical survival. And it is that I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to be affirmed. I want to be understood. So we need to pull off those lenses of um I'm seeing this from this view. I'm seeing this from this view. It has to be my own view, my way or the highway. So when we are that light, we can be that light and project the light on everyone. One of the things I tell people is I have a mantra that I will leave you definitely better than how I have met you. So what that means is whether you like it or not, I will keep projecting the light to you. And whether you like it or not, consciously or unconsciously, when you see me around, that is going to be reprogramming your subconscious thought process, and whether you accept it or not is
Mm,
left to you, but you
yeah,
would start seeing things differently from how you used to see it. I hope I've been able to answer your
absolutely.
question well.
Fantastic, spot on. Thank you so much. Well, it's time for us to take a look at the applications. And why we do that? Because the applications are actually very important. It's not just about reading, of course, it's about practicing as well. Let's drop your questions on the chat box or whatever it is that you've learned. I can see Emmanuel Aze saying, "Heal the inner child to awakening man slash woman." That's a fantastic one. Thank you so much for that. Odunayo, I think you take us through the first application.
Okay, all right. So, I like this part. And the reason why I like this part is, that as a teacher, that part that makes you feel like Odogu is when you say, tear a sheet of paper. So everybody tear a sheet of paper right now and answer my questions, or else. So, question one says, select a relationship in which you sense the emotional bank account is in red. Try to understand and write down the situation from the other person's point of view in your next interaction. So, Mercy, in your next interaction, listen for understanding, comparing what you are learning with what you wrote down. How valid were your assumptions? Did you really understand the individual's perspective? So the question is, did you really understand the individual's perspective? That is question one. We need to apply. We need to apply so that we can grow. So I will hand over to Glory to share question two with us.
Okay. Okay, so application 3 says the next time you have an opportunity to listen to watch people communicate, the next time you have an opportunity to watch people have, you can use it to close your ears, block all the noise, and just watch their facial expressions. Just watch them talk. Just try to read their lips, try to see their face. How did their eyebrow go up? What were they trying to pass across? So the next time you have opportunity to watch people talk, if you're still staying with your parents, you could practice with your parents when your mom and dad are talking, not having arguments. Maybe they're having conversations that you could be a part of. Block your ears. Just you could cover your ears, or you have opportunities to hear. Maybe you are in a gathering and people are talking. This time around, try not to contribute. Just block your ear and hear them talk. Now, in your journal, if you have a journal or if you have your phone's notepad, in that notepad, try to jot down the emotions that you got from that conversation, like from the way you see them talking, from the way you saw them talking. What did their emotions look like? What were the emotions they were passing across? What was the emotions they were emitting? What does it look? Did it look as if one person was happy about the conversation and the other person wasn't? Was it looking like this person? One person was angry and the other person was. You get. So the next time you have the opportunity, don't talk, don't say anything. Block your ears and just watch them talk. So I hand over to Messi for the next application, which is your assignment. Don't forget it's your assignment.
Fantastic, Glory. Just to buttress that point there, it's in one of the things that he said in the book, Stephen Covey. He said empathic listening is not necessarily just about what the person is saying, but the body language of the person, the mood of the person. Empathic listening is actually data. And that's why you are able to diagnose when you listen to people. So I've just circled to take a backtrack to application 2 to let us, take a look at that. He said, share the concept of empathy with someone close to you. Tell him or her you want to work on and really listening to others and ask for feedback in a week. That person that's not been understanding you, maybe your spouse or children, I think it's time to begin to practice and go and say, oh, I really want to work on empathy and listening to others. Then, after a week, go back and ask for feedback. How did it make that person feel? It is very important that we get to practice. Odun, application 4. Odun, are you there? Okay, so I just go ahead with application 4. I just hope yeah, I'll just go ahead with application 4. So the next time you catch yourself inappropriately using one of the autobiographical responses, that is probing, evaluating, advising, or interpreting, try to turn the situation into a deposit by acknowledgement and apology. You catch yourself autobiographically responding, just quickly, oh my goodness, my sincere apologies. I'm so sorry. I just realized I'm not really trying to understand. Please, could we start again? Or I stopped hearing you from this particular point, you know, something like that. It will really help each and every one of us to really get to understand. My ladies, where are you? Come over here. I need you. Odunayo, yes. Oh, you're back now. Okay, so I just took application 4. So please go ahead and take application 5.
Okay, I think because of our time, it's almost time up. Do we have questions that we want to get from the audience? Do we have questions from our audience? Do we have questions? Any questions? Okay, so I feel that we have done justice to Stephen Covey's book, especially the Habit 5 right now. And
A minute, Odunayo, sorry about that. I was hoping you would take application 5 and then we'll wrap it up from there because we haven't done that yet.
okay, that's fine. All right, so Habit 5 talks about this 1 minute then. It's 1 minute, 1 minute. I think I've opened up my book.
All right.
Just 1 minute. Okay, so Habit 5 says, based on your next presentation on empathy, describe the other point of view as or better than its proponent, then seek to have your point understood from their frame of preference.
Thank you so much for that, Odunayo. Really, I'm grateful. Thank you so much also for sharing all your thoughts on the comment section. Let's just get a parting shot from every one of us before we go. I think I'll start from Glory.
Okay, so Rome wasn't built in a day, right? you have to keep practicing this habit five. Seek first to understand, then be understood. You have to practice,
Yeah.
practice, practice till you get better at it. And if you don't practice, essentially you will get better at it. And I hope that you really do, so that you become better versions of yourself and you build great circle of influence. So please practice, practice, and practice.
Thank you.
Thank
Odun,
you.
All right. So just like Gloria said, just keep practicing from baby steps to giant steps. Thank you.
thank you all so much for being a part of the conversation today. Thank you to Joyce Daniels for believing in us to deliver. Thank you to all the people who worked with Joyce Daniels' organization to make this work. Come back and listen to this thing on YouTube and share it with everybody. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Do have a fantastic one. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank
Happy New
you.
Month, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.